Anissa.
Hey, yeah, I'm on my phone. It's
Me
not
too.
okay. Yeah, the computer's not letting me do it from the computer for whatever reason, but my daughter helped me with this. So, okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hi.
Me too. I tried to log on with my laptop. It's just not working. I don't know what's
No.
going on, you know?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
you think I'm a millennial. I'm supposed to figure this out.
Me and you both. We're both supposed to know how to do these things, and for whatever reason,
What's going on? And I see people do it all the time, right? When they use Zoom to connect.
really.
They use Zoom to connect to Facebook to do lives and YouTube and other channel. And some people stream in three separate places.
Yeah, that's a whole master class that I don't have. I don't know anything
Me
about it.
neither. It's wild. I thought I'd figured this out, but hey, we're here, and we'll introduce ourselves quickly. I know that we're a bit tight on time frame. We both are busy women,
Oh
so
yeah.
so yes. Hi everyone. My name is Bernadette Desir. I am the founder and host of the Unleashing Potentials podcast, and I am the host of this group that you're part of. So I've been doing a few part series on grief and grieving, and started it, I'd say last year. I think it was November to December that I started it. So I did a two-part series with Janet, and then another part series with Michelle. And here I am with Miss Anissa. We're gonna hear her take and story on grief, grieving, loss, and anything in between that she wants to add on for you guys to hear about. So, Anissa, you've been on the podcast once,
Yes.
but for those who don't know you, can you introduce yourself? Who are you, and where about are you?
Hi. Yes. Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Akosua Anissa Addae or Anissa Bass. I am in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am an author, published author, um, activist, advocate for stomach cancer, Army veteran, nurse, actress, model, um, not superwoman, just a persevering person who's learned how to, um, you know, deal with life and dust myself off, take the proper steps, take the proper lessons, you know, add it to my life and keep moving and try to not make excuses for myself because we're all dealing with all of these things that we deal with, we see it in other people, you know, and I know that everything that I'm going through and dealing with in my life is for, you know, someone else. Someone else is going to be able to tap in and resonate with what I have. So yeah, that's who I am.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
yeah. Thank you for introducing yourself. I know that Jose is watching. Hello, and thank you to everyone else who is watching. And I'm just so excited to tackle this topic on grief, grieving, and loss. So, Anissa, tell us your story when it comes to grief and grieving.
Well, Bernadette, I have a two-part to grief. I'll touch on the first part briefly. Back in 2001, we had, me and my husband, Anthony, we had three miscarriages back to back, but specifically December 29th, 2001, we miscarried a daughter. Her name was Brianna Angel Bass. I was 21, almost 22 weeks pregnant. So I had to actually deliver her and have her, and you know, and then subsequently, because of her age and how small she was and underdeveloped, she passed away 3 hours later. And so, um, that grief in itself was something that I had to go through and endure. And I thought we would never get through that grief, but we did, you know. Well, we didn't get through it. We went around it. We learned how to grow around it. And so we ended up having two children shortly thereafter that, after I learned how to release my expectation on, on what I thought should happen. And that was, me be able to control, my life and control, my pregnancies and I had to realize that all of that was out of my hands. It was definitely not, in my hands. I'm not God, But the most recent grief that I've had to endure was the loss of, well, the diagnosis and then subsequently the treatment, the journey, and then the loss of my husband's stomach cancer, which I am now currently in grief therapy for, because I'm still having some, disconnect when it comes to responsibility for, his treatment and his diagnosis and his life. So I'm still learning how to cope with my grief. My husband got sick. He was diagnosed May 2nd, 2022, with stage 4 stomach cancer. And at that time, we didn't think that it was terminal. As a nurse, I didn't look at it as terminal. As with any of my patients, my goal is to treat and rehabilitate and to encourage and to heal. I'm not looking at it as this is the end. When someone tells you, a diagnosis, unless they come in and say, hey, you're going to die, you're going to die tomorrow. Nobody knows that. So I didn't put that information in the hands of the doctors. I took that information and I went, and me and my daughter, Natasha, we started exploring other options, and we started looking for, better ways to treat him. And so that turned into a 3-month circus, a 3-month journey of just grappling, at everything possible. And so since then, since my husband did pass, the one way that I found to really deal with my grief and to get around the grief is to talk about it and to be present on this timeline. On this timeline, my present is that I am witnessing, my restoration and my healing by sharing my story and talking about it and advocating and, bringing my husband along for the journey, because this is still his legacy. This is still his life. When someone that you lose that's really close to you passes suddenly, you feel like you didn't get a chance to say everything you needed to say. I guess with any death, you feel that way. But as with my daughter Brianna, 19 years, that was 19 years ago that happened. And it's still there, but it's not as painful, to look at. But with my husband, that's a spouse. I was married to him for 20 years, and my children that I have from him look just like him. So his life and his essence and his ashe is there every day. It matters. It's present. And so I'm being a witness to his life by speaking about, the stomach cancer and trying to educate and help, another family, another caregiver, another wife, another sister, brother, so they won't have to, endure the same thing that I endured. Maybe it'll be easier. Maybe I can talk to you about a different treatment option. Maybe you didn't know about immunotherapy. Maybe you didn't know that, you can live without a stomach, you can adapt. A lot of people are not aware of that. So that's my position on it.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. You have endured so much loss that I know you're putting in the work to do the healing, and that counts, my friend. And your story, I'm sure, has inspired so many. It has inspired me. And I did not know that you had 3 miscarriages back to back, woman to woman. I am so sorry you had to go through that.
Thank you.
I like I can feel the pain and the grief that you had to go through.
Sure.
And I honor you about this because there are so many women of all ages, backgrounds that have had miscarriages that haven't found their voice to express the pain that they've gone through and the healing that they've done. What would you say to those women who have had miscarriages?
Um, don't be afraid to feel the loss, the pain. You know, mourn the baby, mourn the child, mourn the experience, mourn all of it, but get up, you know, get up out of that. Don't stay in it too long. That's what Jennifer Lewis, she's an actress. She says that, you know, when dealing with depression and PTSD and, you know, mental health, things like that. Don't stay in the dark. Go there, you know, go in. Don't be afraid to go in there, but don't stay there. Okay. And don't be afraid to let others see it. That is where the healing is. Where the wound is where the light shines through. It's either going to shine outwardly or the light will shine in. For me, the light shines in when I'm doing the work and I'm healing and I'm trying to understand what's going on. I'm allowing light into my darkness. But then for the person that just had the miscarriage, you know, don't be afraid to let others see the vulnerability of your loss. Don't let people, you know, for me, it felt like, oh God, something's wrong with me. What's wrong with me? I can't even have a baby. I can't even carry this baby, you know. But I had to understand that was an experience that I had to go through in order to talk about it with you today. Okay. That was part of my timeline. That was a different timeline for me. Now I'm on a different frequency in my life. And so this frequency is a frequency of healing, restoration in the now, and being present with everything that happened to me, but not sitting in it, not dwelling in it, not being a victim of it, but being empowering myself in it, you know, finding the silver lining in it, finding the strength. Talk about it.
Yeah. It's so dry. I keep hacking all week, you guys. I'm sorry. Whew, I guess that makes me human.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Thank you for
cold there too,
sharing.
right? It's
My,
cold, right?
we had two cold snaps. I don't really understand Fahrenheit, but in Celsius, some places got to minus 35 or 50 with wind chill. So it's finally warmed up, but that's cold enough to freeze someone within minutes. If there's skin showing it, it's done.
Wow.
So excuse me while I freeze and get through my life. Yeah, yeah, it's cold. Um, Thank you for sharing again, Anissa. I love what you shared, you know, to be able to express how we're feeling. Because at times, I know for me, you know, through my journey, I was ashamed of showing people those broken pieces of me because I was embarrassed, emotional, and I felt like a burden at times. And I know I'm not alone.
Right.
Like you said, to not stay there, to not stay there.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me, Anissa, how are you keeping the memory of your beloved husband alive? I know you're doing some advocating work. What else are you up to?
Well, I'm trying to prioritize everything. I have so many things that I want to do. Um, so next month we will be traveling to Washington D.C. on behalf of Debbie's Dream Foundation. We'll be going up there and, you know, advocating for stomach cancer. And I'll be able to share my husband's story again in front of more people. You know, it's growing. That foundation is growing. It started, I think, at 55. Now it's up to like 400 people. And so my children will be able to come along. You know, we're going to have our t-shirts, our sweatshirts, our buttons. I'll meet the politicians and different lawmakers, and you will be sharing my husband's story again. So that's one thing I'm doing. The second thing that I'm doing is I'm gonna write a book on grief. I'm just trying to get in the headspace to do it. I don't want it to be a really big, thick book, but I definitely want to touch on the grief. And then I'm going to, my husband was a avid chef. Okay. He could cook. He really was so good at cooking. He was so great. I didn't have to cook. All I had to do was go and get the food, bring it home and chop everything up, set everything up. And he went to it. He was a master chef. And I would always tell him, babe, we could open a food truck. We could do a food business. This could be it, you know. And he was like, yeah, I've got to go to work. You know, he didn't really understand that he had that gift, you know, and everybody around him would tell him how great of a chef he was. So in honor of him, I'm going to do a cookbook, and it's going to be illustrated with beautiful pictures of his food and pictures of him and, you know, his recipes. And I'm excited about that book. Just have to find, you know, the right publisher, because I want to make sure the colors are, you know, very good for the book. So that's another thing I'm doing. And then ultimately, him and I have a love story. And that love story caused a few of my friends to get back together with their spouses and remarry. My husband and I, we got back together and remarried. And that was something that I didn't even know that it affected other people, you know, until my husband passed. People came to me and said, hey, I want you to know, you know, I'm so hurt, you know, that your husband passed, because you and your husband getting back remarried, um, it inspired me to get back with my husband or get back with my wife, you know. So yeah, and we deserve our own love story, you know. Yeah. And I want to take that and I want to pitch it, you know, since I do have a foot in the acting, in the film world. I want to pitch it to someone so I can do a from scratch edition. I want to have my own love story that will turn into a movie. Yeah. Hmm.
That is so inspiring. I can't wait. And
Yeah.
be sure I get the first copy of your book.
Absolutely. Sure. You know you
That's
will.
awesome. Yeah. Wow. You are busy, ma'am.
Yes. That's the way I get through. That's the way I get through the grief.
Yeah. 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 That's so cool. And yeah. Yeah. I love that you mentioned that people got back together, because sometimes we think no one's watching when everyone is watching. Whatever we do, whether it's good, whether we think it's good or bad or in between, there are people watching. And I love to echo that. And guess who else watches us every single step we take? Our kids. Even our
Yes.
pets watches us, but our
Yes.
kids. And we're leaving them with fond memories of the things that we're passionate about.
Right.
Mm,
Right.
mm.
Exactly. That gives them the blueprint, you know. So when they go out into the world and they're making their own families, they'll have something to base that on, you know. They'll have a guideline. They'll have something to at least say, well, let me look and see how mama did it or how daddy did it, and then see if it worked for them. It could work for me, you know. Or if it didn't work for them, let me try it my way, you know. You can be inspired of either way.
Yeah, I agree. How are we doing for time, Anissa? I know you got to go soon.
Us 12:09 here. I'm still good. Yeah.
Good? Okay, how much time?
Um, 45 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, we're good. Let's keep this thing
We
going,
keep it
guys.
going. Yeah, we can talk about, you know, the trauma and the PTSD if you want.
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I let's talk about the PTSD.
Hmm.
So the PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Um, I was diagnosed with that, and I didn't realize that I even had that. Um, through the military, I was given that diagnosis, and that is because subsequently in my life there was things that happened when I was younger in my past concerning my mother, you know, who is alive and well today. You know, she had some difficulties in her life, and without tarnishing her life or, you know, who she is, her reputation, I would say that the things that she was going through just to maintain as a woman raising three children by herself, those things cause some trauma to me, and they cause some, I don't know. Just when you think of trauma and PTSD, when I hear it, I think of a bad accident that happened in the road, or some bombs went off and killed a whole bunch of kids. I think of something on that, but it's not. It is a disruption. Is a disruption of a person's normal life, and everything is infected by that. Everything, the children, your home life, your job, your car, everything, your health, your sleep, everything is affected. And so I just thought I was just with my mom. I didn't realize, we were homeless. We had some times when we were homeless. We didn't have even food, but I didn't know those things. I just knew I was with my mom. I was safe, and so I pushed through whatever it was that wasn't right. I pushed through it, but it ended up showing up later in my life. It showed up later in my career. It showed up as anger. It showed up as, hostility. It showed up as aggressiveness. It showed up as impatience. It just showed up bad for me. It was like, why am I so angry? Why am I so negative? Why am I so unforgiving? Why am I so all of this? It felt not right. And it wasn't until I went into counseling and started talking about different things that happened to me in the military. I was sexually assaulted in the military, and then the things that happened with my mom, that sort of gave me the basis for the PTSD, and the trauma that surrounded me and my life choices. So I would say to anyone that's dealing with any of that, go and get a proper diagnosis. Don't diagnose yourself. Go and make sure that you know what that is, because for a long time I didn't think I had anything wrong with me. I didn't think I would look at others and say, "Oh, I don't have depression. I don't have anxiety. I don't have post-traumatic stress disorder. What is that?" I don't have none of that. I thought I was doing okay. I just thought these other people, it's your fault, that I can't get along with you. It's your fault that, whatever, I just put it off, like put it off on that person. And it's not, that's narcissistic behavior. And I didn't want to attach myself to that. So I had to go, and I had to go get the help, the therapy and the counseling to talk about, so I can get a different perspective.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm grateful that you talked about it, because now you're talking to me and you're empowering other people that are listening or watching this. And
Great.
thank you for your service. I do know I'm in Canada, but it's very similar. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And
You're welcome.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I feel that it's a pandemic with sexual assaults in workplaces. I don't know, I'll speak for here, maybe other places as well. I think when people go to work, regardless of what they do, they should be safe,
Mhm.
they should feel heard, they should feel protected, and just happy where they're giving their service or working, right?
Right.
Um, what would you say to companies that have dealt with that type of issue?
I would say have zero tolerance for those things. Um, and I would also say, in this climate, it's not just women that go through sexual assault, or sexual battery, or just sexual harassment. It's also men. Men also can be in a position where other people, man or woman, can be trying to initiate or usurp their authority over this person, for whatever reason, because you have the power to, because you have the job title, and now I'm gonna blackmail you if you don't do this. I'm not gonna give you the promotion, or I'm not gonna give you this time off, or whatever. I would say that the employers really need to look at the cases that men speak on. They happen. I have a couple of friends that happened to them. Yeah.
Yeah, acknowledging men and for bringing that up. I know there's a Me Too movement, and I'm gonna add men too,
Yeah.
right? They
Yeah.
and and I think they hurt a bit differently than we do. I don't understand how a man's brain work, but you know what I mean? We're just more expressive as women.
Yeah, I have a friend, his name is Ron Godfrey. He wrote a book called Men Cry in
I
the
had him
Dark.
on my
Oh,
podcast.
you did. Ah, good, good,
I
good, good.
did. I'm
So you
releasing his
know
episode
Ron, so you
today.
know him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they cry in the dark. They take their pain and they go away in the dark. They have to look so macho in front of everyone, but then they have to take their pain and they have to hide it over here because it's not looked at as being normal for men, to express that. But I love a man that can tap into his emotional side.
Me too.
Yeah. And express the pain that they're dealing with, because if they don't deal with their pain, if they don't talk about the trauma and things. My husband had traumas. He had some things that led to him drinking. He did drink a lot of alcohol, and a lot of that is because he was dealing with some things that he didn't talk to me about, us about, nobody about. I found that out later, as he was getting closer to his death. He started to talk to me more and more about things that he wished that he would have done, which was go to therapy and talk about things that happened to him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Very similar with my father. He was an alcoholic, and he had some kind of lung or stomach cancer, and he drank himself to death. He smoked until his brain was ash, and he passed in 2020, and that's when I learned of, the crap he went through, the sexual abuse, and
Wow.
um, younger sibling at the time when he was young that drowned, that he couldn't save her. So there's always more to the story, and it's important for all of us as a society and culture to stop judging each other,
Yeah.
because where we are judging could be halfway through their chapter, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's the beginning of their chapters,
Yeah.
because when we're starting to heal, it hurts. It's a tender and vulnerable place to be.
Yeah.
Just support and love on each other
Just support
with
and
no
love on
judgment.
each other. No judgment. Because the funny thing about judging is you've been there. You've experienced that. That's why God is allowing this to now come to you. Whatever it is that you're seeing, you've been in that position, or you may be in that position later. You're going to see it again, but you can't judge the person based off of their experience in that experience, because that is their life lesson. That's what they have to deal with. That's their stuff. And however you judge it, that will then entail how the karma is going to come back, because you're going to act on your judgment. You're going to either mistreat this person, you're going to, spread gossip or lies about a person, or, whatever you're going to do is ultimately going to come back to you, because you started that seed of judgment. You can't, all you can do is just be what is called oh my gosh, we talked about it last night in another podcast I was in. And a witness. It's like a not an advising witness, but like a present witness. That's the wrong word, but I know witness is in there. So it's sort of like you're there, you're attentive,
Yeah.
you're seeing what's going on, but you're not involving yourself in it. You're observing, but
Mm,
you're not absorbing. You're observing, but you're not, you know, absorbing it. You're not taking it into yourself. You're just a witness.
yeah.
You're a witness to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think at times people get offensive because we trigger something in them that they've been avoiding probably decades or years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. And that's why I love everyone. I don't care who they are, what they look like, religion. Hey,
Right.
I just, because I believe with my whole heart that when one of us hurt, all of us
All
hurt.
of us hurt.
Want to admit it or not. Let's say someone's in a community, they lose a member. You better believe it's going to impact everyone. Even if
Right.
people don't know that person, it will impact them, right? And Let's talk a little bit, Anissa, about the importance of seeking professional help, which most people avoid or don't want to do.
I think seeking professional help is good and it's needed because, like I said, I didn't know that I had PTSD. I didn't know I had major depression. I didn't know I had, unhealed childhood trauma. Um, a professional person who studies this and who's able to, see you on a different see you with a different set of eyes than say your family or say your coworkers or you know they can really help you to learn how to navigate it, learn how to deal with it when it shows up, help you with your triggers. They can really outline some things that help you to respond to it differently and without medication. I'm a big advocate for not treating everything with a pill. Try to go within, try to heal, try to find an alternative, like remove some stress out of your life. Do some meditation, do some artwork. I love the artwork that you're doing.
Yeah,
I'm always looking at your artwork, and I am an artist myself. I have a room just like that upstairs. I just need to clean it. And then I'm going to move myself up there, and I'll be in that area, in that space. But create, get it out of you. Go exercise, go to the gym, garden, do something um besides medication or besides alcohol or besides drugs or besides, you know unsolicited sex. you know that's why it's important to get um
mhm.
professional help and professional guidance, because you don't want to be out here taking advice from everybody. Everybody's not, where you are
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
mentally. Some people, they love to see you, they love to see, some people love to see you suffering. They love to see, because it makes you more human. They want to see you in the same boat with them. Then how dare you get out of this grief boat? I want you to stay in here in this depression with me. No, because like sometimes what is it? Whatever you surround yourself with, that's what you're going to be. So that's why
yeah.
it's important to go and get the professional diagnosis from a professional.
Mhm,
That's why
mhm.
they're there. Yeah.
And believe it or not, professionals have professional help themselves most of the time. All right, nurses, doctors, therapists, psychologists, you
Right.
name it. These
Right.
people that goes home and they have their own family and different things that they're
Oh,
going through, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just give it a shot, give it a try. And obviously I love that you mentioned arts. Like find your outlet. Maybe you're not a painter, you're a singer, maybe you crochet. Whatever you do that frees you, that frees your soul and your mind, do
Yeah.
it. And you have to do it well. I keep telling people that when it comes to art. You don't, I put away my arts that I did when I first started to paint, and I can see the progress. And the same thing applies with many things, like trauma, right?
Hmm.
Just find something. And also learn to set boundaries.
Yeah.
And believe me when I say this, when you set boundaries, you will have people that judge you with backlash, criticism. Let them, right? It's a reflection on how they're feeling. It's not you. And it took me time to learn that. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing to hurt this person? Why am I making this person miserable? I'm like, wait a minute, this person is hurting and wants a piece of my piece, but they need to get their own.
Right. Right.
Right? It's set boundaries, right? Yeah. What are your thoughts on holistic approaches of healing, like meditation, connecting to earth? Because I know you have also a spiritual side.
Yeah.
We talked, I do as well.
So I think the very first thing that I do in the morning, I try to make it a habit, a mantra to do it. I got to get more in tune with it. Just give thanks. Give thanks. Go inside my head for a minute before I even put my feet on the ground. Just wake up and thank God, thank my source, for light. that I made it through the night and I'm awake. And then wake up, get my shower. I love to burn incense, Nag Champa incense, um, frankincense, a spiritual incense, just any incense that resonates with you. I set the tone like that. I burn the incense. I maybe even light candles, depending on what I'm feeling. And music. I love to turn on music. It could be gospel music, or it could be some rap music, or it could be some drums, just whatever resonates with me for that day. And that sort of sets the tone for me. Um, Meditation. Um, you don't have to be sitting, crisscross applesauce to do meditation. You can be doing meditation sitting in your doctor's office waiting to get called back there. Or you could be doing meditation sitting in traffic waiting for this traffic to go through. Whatever you do to tap into you, to tap into the inner person that's in you. When you're tapping into that, and when you're letting that, some people will try to say, oh, that's demonic, or they think that that's wrong. We are in a new climate now where people are really starting to wake up to the self. They're starting to wake up to the consciousness. They're starting to wake up to the divine. They're starting to wake up to what's really inside of us. We are no longer looking at the outside systems. We're looking inward. And we had to disconnect from organized religion, because religion and spirituality, for me, they're not the same. They don't go hand in hand. There is a total difference. If you line up religion and line up spirituality and list everything about each one, you will see they're totally different. I just learned that tonight, even with the Bible and reading the Bible. I can't bring the Bible per se into spirituality, because that's a man-made Bible. That Bible was man-written. It was man-written by a man. God didn't write that Bible. A man wrote that Bible. And then I did more and more, you go deeper in the rabbit hole. I found that the same publishing company that published the Bible published the the Satanic Bible. I promise you. I couldn't believe it. I said, "Oh, I wasn't supposed to find that out, because that's going to make me now question everything." It's just, but back then people were in the business of, we're publishing. Publishers are like, we don't care what kind of book it is. We're just going to publish it. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that the people that wrote the Bible were devil worshippers. It just meant, for me, that this book was written by man. It was not written. God didn't say, this is the end all. This is the way. Because if that's the truth, then we would have stayed in the Old Testament, and we would have abided by the Old Testament, and not come into the New Testament and change all the rules and change everything. And that's what happened, and that's why there's so much discord now. But we are in a shift. We are in a new frequency. I don't know if you know anything about frequencies, but Earth is 3D frequency, and 5D frequency is where we're trying to get to. We're all of us that are in the know, all of us that are woke, all of us that have a inside thought process, and we're not, tainted by what we see on the outside. We know that there's a level of consciousness that's coming, and we are preparing for that. Those of us that got the call, those of us that can see through the veil, those of us that recognize that that's what it is. You intuitively know, oh, this is not a coincidence. I'm feeling something, because you're on it's described as a frequency. It's like you saying to me, Anissa, turn to 99.7 Kiss Canada radio. And I'm trying to find that frequency over here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then I catch it. And I'm like, oh, this is it. This is the frequency. And I hear it. That's the same thing that this spirituality, this spiritual awakening is. Everybody won't get the channel. They won't hear it. It'll be fuzzy. They'll have a lot of questions, or they'll get angry, or they'll go back to their old way, whatever that was, and they'll throw that at you, and they'll tell you you're demonic and it's devil worshiping, and you should not be honoring your ancestors, but me and my children, we have a beautiful, the Spanish people call it a boveda. We have a beautiful shrine. Um, during the what is the Muertos Dia de los Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead. That is something that we celebrated last year, and they build a ofrenda, and that's where you add all these beautiful colors, and you add all these beautiful display, of your loved ones. You put everything that they like to eat on there. You put marigolds on there, and it's a beautiful 5-day celebration for the dead. And the movie Coco touched on all of that. Whenever somebody comes for me, I say, hey, they made a whole Disney movie about it. It was called Coco. Have you seen that movie? So don't come at me about it being demonic. I don't want to hear it. I'm not listening to you, because this is the thing. Your ancestors, this is the important thing that people need to get. My husband is now my ancestor, and I can say first generation that his life mattered, that he lived, that I saw him in the flesh, and he wasn't an evil man. So nobody can tell me don't honor your ancestors. Don't celebrate your ancestors because they're evil. No, you don't know what you're talking about. This was my husband. This was my husband. Like, we lived together, Now you can talk about my great great granddaddy. Maybe I didn't know him, and maybe but that's still my DNA. That's still my genealogy. So you can't even talk about that, because those people's lives matter. They dealt with everything that I'm dealing with today, and I'm standing here with all of 10,000 of these people behind me, holding me up and saying, "Hey, thank you." Thank you for remembering my life. Thank you for giving me veneration and honoring me in this way. It's not that we worship our ancestors, it's that we honor them. We honor their life. We honor their memory. My children are watching me go from being a woman of Christianity to now a woman. And I was going through all of this with my husband. When we got back together the second time, I was on my spiritual path, and he was right on board with everything, because he was like, oh, I already knew this. I was waiting on you to get on board. And, now for me to be on this end of the spectrum, and I see people now waking up, it is so refreshing to me. But I'm so glad that I'm on this side of the spectrum. You see, I can attest to the fact that I know my husband is fine, and I'll see him again. It's just energy is neither destroyed. What is it? Created nor destroyed. It's just transferred. My husband's energy is just transferred. And I'll see him again. I will see his energy again. So I'm okay with the death. It's just, I think for me, it was the realization that he wasn't here anymore. All the things we planned, the retirement, everything we planned to do, and even seeing him sick in his last days. I was holding on to the human experience of what I went through. And I am still learning to release that experience, that's making me stronger. It's making me empowered. I walked around with the shirt that he died in. I slept in that shirt for 5 days because I didn't want to release, the energy of him. I wanted to go with him, to be honest. I don't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to check out of here. I didn't want to stay here without my husband, because I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think people say, oh, Anissa, you can just get married again. You're young, you're beautiful. This was my soulmate. We got married. How many women, get married to the same guy twice? They don't go back. They don't go back, and we went back, and we found a reason to love each other again. And I know that was intended for me to do that with him. That was a contract, a life contract, a soul contract that we signed together. I don't want to get upset. That we signed together, for me to be with him during that time. And that is going to teach me so much unconditional love for people. So much unconditional love for people.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. I just listening to your story.
I didn't want to get upset.
Okay, you got to release it, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing with feeling, crying, and releasing it. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing about spirituality.
Yeah.
Earlier in the podcast, I was just first starting, and I'm like, I'm going to talk about chakras and blah, blah, blah. And then I had someone message me who was like, yo, worshiping the devil, you're talking about the devil. And so I've had those, all right? And I was born open as a child. For those who don't know what that is when you can see spirits very young. I saw my father very young, my grandfather, because he passed, and I still have him in my memory and carry him. And I have proof that the other side exists. My mom
Yeah.
did it to me, adoptive mom that passed. She came to me, and I felt her touching me, giving me strength.
Yeah.
So when you have proof, when you know. And guess who I asked for proof that gave it to me? Jesus and
That's
God.
right. That's
Because,
right. People
yeah,
don't understand that. They're like, how can that be? Because we were taught to separate it. They didn't want us to come into this knowledge, because then we can empower ourselves. When you come into the knowledge of self, you are empowering yourself. You can
mm,
take back, the organized stuff that they try to do to us, the separation that they're doing to us.
yeah, happened for so long because I believe I was a witch in a past life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
I just know. But well, yeah, yeah.
I believe I'm a witch in this life. A good witch, though. I'm a good witch. I've been told that a couple of readings I had. At first, I was like, a witch? Oh my God. And then I went to a party and I was talking about chakras and crystals and what do you call this stuff? Divination, tarot, because I can do tarot. I just haven't tapped into. I did it like 6 times, maybe 5 or 6 times, and everyone was dead on. And I said, "Whoa, I got a gift for that," But I didn't. I collect tarot cards because I love them. I like the way they look. A lot of them that I have. My kids and I, we look at the tarot cards, we learn from them, but we know that it's spirit, it's energy. But I had somebody at a party, a guy, tell me when I was talking about my husband and the chakras and the crystals, it was crystals. He said, "Oh, you're a witch. Oh, you're a witch?" And I said, "Huh?" So it offended me. I was like, "A witch? Let me go look it up. Let me go look up the word witch." And when I looked it up, girl, it said a wise woman. A wise woman. That's the very first word that came up. And I said, okay, all right. A wise woman, because, women were burned at the stake. They were burned because they tapped into their magic. They were able to speak to their subconscious mind. They were able to say this, whatever it is that their intention, whatever they focus their intention on, the words are words. But whatever you do and speak out of your mouth and say with intention, I intend to do whatever, right? I intend to be rich. I intend to be a millionaire. I intend to be married. I intend to have a baby. And if you believe that in your heart and you align yourself with that, that energy, it's coming. And you can create words to say that. You can make a song, you can make a spell, or whatever you want to do to make that happen. We do it all the time in church. When we're singing, when we're praising the Lord, when we're having the Holy Ghost and shouting and all, we're doing the same exact things. It is the same thing. But they like to say that it's demonic because it's empowering you. It's opening your mind. It's opening your third eye. They're not teaching wellness and mental clarity and mindfulness in church. They don't have a board for that.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And one of my guides told me that it's time. Um, because they want me to start talking about my spiritual journey and experience. But guess what? The ego, the human part of me is like, no, I'm gonna get shunned, judged, and all of that.
No, you
But
won't.
they keep
And I'm
telling
right there with you. I'm
me,
right there with you. Yeah, you want. We can do it together if you want. I will hold your hand and we can talk about it on live
thank you.
together. I'm so
Yeah,
serious because there's a lot of people that don't know that about me as well. I give
yeah.
them a little bit. I'll make a post or I'll let them see my jewelry. I'm starting to buy more stuff with the evil eye. They call it the evil eye. I call it God's eye. I call it the all-seeing eye. It's the same eye that's on the back of your money. If you want to flip your money over, it's at the top of that pyramid. I call it the eye of knowledge. The eye, It's not the eye of Ra, it's the eye of knowledge, you know, the knowledge of self. And so a lot of people are probably looking at me like, oh wow, she's into that. She's into witchcraft, you know, she's into that. No, I'm not into anything. I'm 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 a witness to my life experience, and I have learned how to tap in, tune in, you know, into this frequency. Yeah. So no, I used to be afraid to talk about it openly to people. I have a community now. There's a chat that I'm in. It's called Ascension 24. It's on Telegram, and it's about 50. No, it's about 2,000 people in there, and they're all talking about 5D frequency. And I feel so left out, and I feel so late to the party because they are up here in their thinking, and I'm down here on Earth still trying to deal with this person and that. No, we got so much to do. There's no way, there's no need for you to be ashamed of your spirituality, because that is going to open so many doors. Neutral witness, compassionate witness. He just texted me because I asked him, I said, what was that word that you said? And he said it was called something witness. So neutral witness, compassionate witness. That's what you have to be when you're dealing with people, you know, and their energies. But yeah, don't be afraid of your spiritual gift. I'm interested in it because the more that you tell me, the more I can tell you. You know what I mean? It's like, well, let me share my story too. You know, that's what all these podcasts are about. People are coming out, and now we're seeing the human side of each one of us. We're seeing that we're grappling with the same things. You got to remove that cloth, that cloak of Christianity, church, whatever your religion is. You got to take that all the way off and throw it to the corner, because Jesus is still over here with you. He ain't just in that church. That's the first spell, that church. Being under that congregation, being in that mindset, being in lack. Okay, me and my husband went through a loss of a house, homelessness, not having money when he lost his job. I was pregnant. We're asking the church for help. And not that I blame the church. Not that I'm saying, oh, the church should have gave me all this money and did these things. No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, had I been more in my spiritual connection, I would have never looked to anybody to make us happy or to sustain us. I would have never expected the church to do that, because that is not what the church is for. The church is not, it's supposed to be there to help the sick and the widows and the shut in and the homeless. But there's a lot of conditions around that. Spirituality is unconditional love. It's unconditional. There's no conditioning here. There's no I'm gonna shove spirituality in your face, because spirituality is gonna be experienced by you whether you want it or not. It's coming. We are all going back to the spirit world, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, you're right. Because for a child, it's terrifying. I think I could see spirit as old as 5, right?
Yeah.
Or more old until we're 8. And I begged God or whoever I believed in throughout my childhood to make it stop. And I could always sense and feel things that were there. And lately, girl, it's been 2.5 years. I'm just seeing a whole lot of what we call dead people. They're very much alive. So
We need that. We need that information. You know, we need to talk about that. You got to get that out of you, because I see it too. You know, I see it. I even talk to them. I'll say, look, I'm sorry. I have to get my sleep. I have a podcast in the morning. What do you want? What are you here? What are you wanting with me? You know, I can see you, right? You know, I see you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not afraid of them no more. I used to be scared and terrified of it, but now it's like I understand what it is. It's a wandering spirit. They're lost. And because the veil is so thin between the two existences now, those that have an eye to see will see. Those who have an ear to hear will listen. You know, those who have a mouth to speak will say something. So yeah, you have to gird yourself up and be ready for this battle. It's a spiritual battle. And we need light workers like you. I'm a star seed. I didn't know that. That's what I am. We need light workers. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what I am as a star seed, and it makes
Good.
sense.
That's good. I haven't had my reading yet to know what I am. I know you touched and said that it was something about a dragon.
Yeah.
You haven't, yeah, I don't know what mine is yet. Whatever that is that you got, I got to go and get it. So yeah, I'm getting ready to have that reading done.
Yeah.
And I'll come back and give you some information on what it is. I have no idea what it is.
The part that's interesting is that dragons were demonized and hunted. I know as a dragon, I spent time in China, and if you look at China, they celebrate dragons. They were one of the first out of many civilizations to accept us as dragon. And if you look at many of the flags in Europe, you'll see dragon in their flags.
Yeah.
But it took a while for this part of the world to do that, and oh
Wow.
well.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fascinating. I can't wait. I'm so happy for your spiritual journey,
Thank
and
you.
we'll see quite a bit of crap that's gonna surface for you, and it's good
Yeah.
stuff. All right, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. How are we doing on time?
Yeah. It's time. Yeah. We got to wrap it up. I got to get out of here. But
Yeah, she's a busy woman.
I'm busy. I'm actually headed to my grief counseling. That's
See,
where I'm headed.
so,
Yeah.
do you have any last word to wrap this amazing conversation?
My last thing would be for to just tell you, however chaotic and however crazy your grief seems to you. I had some notes in here I was going to try to touch on, but I didn't even get to look at it. But just take your grief and process your grief, your PTSD, your traumas, all these things, and know that we are all here, as in we are soul in this flesh body, in this suit. Just like that car. I'm gonna go now and get in this car. This is the perfect example for me. I am not that car. That car is my avatar. I'm me. I'm Anissa, the soul getting in the car. I'm driving it. That's what your soul is in the body. Your soul is you getting inside of the avatar, which is your body, and then going out into the world. So understand that anything that happens to you on the physical can be healed within and the spiritual. You can heal it. You can heal if you desire to heal whatever it is, it can be healed. And don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid to look into that.
Yeah.
Don't go to anybody for that. Go within. Get quiet, meditate, hear from God, hear from your higher source, hear from whatever it is that wakes you up in the morning. That. Yeah.
I just love listening to you talking. There's so much wisdom and peace and power. I love it all. Well, Anissa, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for opening up your heart once again with
Yeah.
my audience and with myself for sharing your story.
Yeah.
I can't wait. She got me excited. Should we tell them the news that we talked about?
Sure, I'll let you
Is it
announce
a
it.
secret?
Yeah, you can tell them if you want to.
Okay.
It's fine.
So Anissa is gonna start co-hosting the podcast with me. We'll give you guys more details as they become available. So we're just working behind the scene on details and everything else that will come with it. So stay tuned for that.
Absolutely.
And to my team, I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I'm happy to be here of service.
Yeah.
That's what I call it, of service.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to hold you because you gotta
Okay.
go. And I gotta
Yeah,
go
I gotta go. Okay. All right. You guys be blessed. Have a great week. And just love on yourself. Love unconditionally. Forgive yourself.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, see you guys soon.
All right. Take care.
Okay.